appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it's always nice to catch up with people here in Vancouver. This is a great show, and we really enjoy being here on this. We only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to give you a real brief overview of who Regulus is and the opportunity we have on our Antiquary project in northern Peru on this. We were out at the booth, and you can get information there. There's a more extended presentation on our website as well on this. This is a view of the Antiquary project. We're currently drilling with 3 drill rigs. We plan to take that rig count up to 4 in June and probably a 5th rig in July. And we envision that we'll be drilling pretty steadily for the next 2 years probably on this project. We've managed to capture a project that already has a large resource to start from. It has about 295 million tons at 0.48% copper, 0.36 grams per ton gold. So both copper and gold on this, as well as some silver. But we think that's the starting point on this, and with extensive drilling, we're highly confident that we're going to increase the size of this considerably. We are a publicly traded company, so read this really quickly. And, the highlights really on this is Regulus is a company that formed as a spin-co from our predecessor company called Antares Minerals. And with Antares Minerals, we had the good fortune to make a discovery of a large porphyry copper deposit in southern Peru, which called Akira, which we drilled out, and we sold that project to First Quantum in 2010 for about $650 million. So started on a project that we acquired for $15 million on option payments, drilled a heck of a lot of meterage into that project and demonstrated the size of it, de-risked the project, and delivered it into a point in the market where copper companies were making a lot of profit, and they were highly motivated to look for acquisitions of projects. I believe, and it helps having a few years on me now on this, that we're in a position now where we're most likely entering into one of these periods where we'll see more M&A activity looking for large copper assets on this. Where there are very few projects in development. We've recently seen some major projects come online. Outside of Cobre Panama, there are probably very few big projects to hit in the next year or two. And then there's a definite gap with very little new production coming on as production is declining. So it's a perfect time to see a shortage appear on this and copper prices to pop up at the same time that the major copper miners are making a lot of money, and that usually results in them getting aggressive on acquiring things. So we like the setup on how we're on this. As I mentioned, we're an experienced management team. We've been through this once on it already, and that makes it a little bit easier for us to attract good people, good capital, and you learn a lot on these projects as you drill them out and learn the pitfalls to go forward on this. We're currently in an 18,000 meter drill program on Antiquary. With that 18,000 meters, it'll double. We inherited the project with 17,000 meters. That's what allows the resource that we state right now. With 18,000 meters or 20,000 meters of drilling, we believe we'll have enough drilling to produce an updated resource estimate by the end of this year. We're targeting right at the end of the year for this. That will be a substantial increase. It will be by no means the final size of the deposit. It'll be an interim resource estimate, but one that we think will be able to demonstrate to the market the direction that we're going with this. In this case, we plan, when we drilled out Akira, we fell into the trap of raising money, drilling, stopping, producing a report, putting it to market, going out and looking for money, and it took us 5 years to do that. We did have the global financial crisis in there on the way. But what we'd like to do on this one is keep ourselves in a good capital position so that we drill straight through and shorten that time. I'd like to ideally be delivering a fairly well-dimensioned and fleshed out deposit on this within the next 2 to 3 years. This describes a little bit, I think you can catch from the discussion so far what we try to do. We are not a prospector generator. That's a perfectly good model for a lot of groups. But what we do is we try to identify projects that have some meat on the bones and have unrecognized or unrevealed potential to them. So we try to acquire a project that if our geologic concepts come through correctly, we'll be able to demonstrate a very large deposit, one that's economically robust, and the type of thing that people would like to buy and build themselves to go forward with. This is an example of we don't have time to go through all this, but this shows the story we had with Akira on this. We started out struggling to get market recognition for a long time, despite a higher copper price. The gold line is copper price. The blue line was the market cap of Antares. Started drilling and hitting some pretty impressive intercepts. Finally got some love from the market. Global financial crisis came. We delivered a PEA coming out of that was quite robust, and we sold the company for $650 million to First Quantum. So this is the trajectory we envision on this. These are the type black swan events that can happen along your way as you get into this. This is the price chart over the last 3 years for Regulus. Very similar story where we were on the bottom here, not really having much recognition. We acquired the Antiquary project with a resource already in place. We initiated drilling on this, and we're on this upward trajectory. We view this as this portion of this diagram, and our endpoint is trying to get up to the end on this. We have a very good share structure on this. We benefited from that spin out on this, so we have about 74 million shares out. Pretty serious management and insider shareholdings on this. And one of the things that we're very pleased with is we have a very loyal shareholder base on this. We don't trade a lot. Most of our shareholders are long on this and looking for that end game. They're very much aligned with what we'd like to do on this. This shows the location of the project. We're in northernmost Peru. We're in the province of Cajamarca, or the region of Cajamarca. It's an area that's well known for its large high sulfidation gold systems like Yanacocha and other deposits. But there are a number of porphyry copper deposits either immediately below the high sulfidation systems or nearby. We're immediately adjacent to 2 operating mines, the Tantahuatay heap leach gold operation operated by Buenaventura with Southern Copper as a partner. And Goldfields has a gold copper porphyry about 6 kilometers away from us. So very good infrastructure, very good location on this. I mentioned the resource that we have on the project. Okay, we've got a bit of a scramble. It looks like they put our long presentation in here instead of our short presentation. So I'm gonna step aside a little bit on this and just finish up. The bottom line on this right now is that as we're drilling this project out, I can jump forward. Yeah, we'll do it this way. This shows the land position on the project. And so what we control is the red claims on this. It's a collage of old mining claims. They're like patented claims. They have unusual orientations on this. The active Tantahuatay pit is immediately to the south of us, right here. You can see it on this diagram. And the dashed line outlines the resource that's partially defined by 2 previous drilling campaigns. So 17,000 meters of drilling was initiated. This is mineralization hosted in high sulfidation Miocene volcanic rocks on this. In the basement, there are high-grade pyrite and enargite veins that the 2 junior companies that initiated this drilling were chasing, looking for high-grade structures going into the basement. What they somewhat accidentally found is that this is the heap leach operation in the Miocene volcanics in purple. The basement rocks are Cretaceous sedimentary rocks with limestones and calcareous siltstones. They chased the high-grade feeder structures into the basement and accidentally found that there's a well-mineralized copper-gold skarn in the basement. And that was the real breakthrough on this project for 2 reasons. One is the copper-gold skarn environment in these rocks in Peru offers potential for very serious volume. There are examples of Las Bambas and Antamina, 2 very much world-class deposits in these same rock types on it. And the other important thing is that the copper-gold mineralization that's in the Miocene volcanic rocks as sulfides and along these feeder structures is a enargite-rich mineralization. So it's very good grades of copper and gold, but it has deleterious elements like arsenic associated with it. When you move into the skarn-type environment, we get a cleaner, metallurgically more simple style of mineralization. So it's better mineralization to be found on the project. As I mentioned, we're on an 18,000 meter drill program. We're about 12,000 meters into this. This is just a bit of a list of some of the drill intercepts that we've had on this. We had the good fortune and the bad fortune of starting out with a very good hole. Our first hole had 184 meters of 1.5% copper, a little over a gram of gold. I think the market wants us to deliver that on every hole since. We're actually more happy with some of the other results we have, things like 500 meters plus of 0.65 copper, 0.47. One of our most recent holes in the upper high sulfidation had 258 meters of 0.43 copper and about 0.3 grams per ton of gold. And more importantly, 145 meters of 0.7 copper, 0.42 gold. that's metallurgically clean in skarn mineralization and basement, and that hole was lost in mineralization with 200 meters of prospective stratigraphy below it. So we're hitting the type intervals that we'd really like to see on this project, and we've announced 12 drill holes to date. We'll be announcing 3 to 5 drill holes every 6 to 8 weeks for the rest of the year. In about August or September, we'll do a data cutoff and use that to do a resource estimate update at the end of the year, but we'll be continuing to drill all the way through as we go forward on this. So we have very good news flow coming up, a chance to deliver an extremely large copper gold system in effectively a brownfield environment immediately adjacent to operating mines that are logical suitors to acquire us in the future. We've been very careful to structure our agreements with them to allow us to operate, but to also still be in play and to attract interest from other suitors. It's nice to have an obvious buyer, but you need to have some competition to keep them honest on it. One last thought on this is that, as I mentioned, Regulus was originally started on projects we have in Argentina. We put those on hold in 2012 at the bottom of the market and used our cash position to go out and seek a project like this as a flagship project. We still have the projects in Argentina, and with governmental changes there, the environment has improved for foreign investment, and the lithium guys are coming in pretty hard there, which makes things more receptive for mining. So we're in the process of evaluating how we'll reactivate those projects, and you might want to watch that space in the next month or two to see what we come up with on that. So thank you very much. Apologize, this was our long version on here instead of the short one, but I think you can capture an idea of who we are and what we're about. Thank you very much.